Hello everyone, welcome to the channel for Everything Arsenal and welcome to the match build-up and opposition preview for Arsenal's game against Fulham. Matchweek 32, I think I'm not wrong, Matchweek 32 is here and I have a special guest with me again, Fulham fan Dom from Fulhamish. By the way, Dom was the first ever person to come on this channel for an opposition preview and we played them in the first game of the season. How have you been?
Yeah, not been too bad. Obviously, a lot's changed for both of our teams since the start of the season. I mean, even I was fairly optimistic about your guys' potential season. But you know what's happened with you guys is what's happened with us guys. If you look at what I said in that video, it's kind of played out in that way. I think I was saying that sort of we'll be competitive in this league a lot more competitive than we were 2 years ago, but it will still be a tough ask for us to avoid relegation. And although it's looked more likely at times and less likely at different times about our survival, it's gone the way I would say a lot of Fulham fans probably would have expected, especially with us being playoff winners and us having such a short turnover between that game and then obviously the opening game against you guys.
Yeah, just a random question. Do you think Brentford would have done better?
No. I don't think they would have done much better. I think, I mean, obviously they probably would have been able to keep Ben Rama and Ollie Watkins, but even then, I don't know. You know, someone like Ollie Watkins, if a bigger club did come from Leicester, Villa would have taken the plunge, but I don't think so. I don't think Brentford have what it takes to perform when it actually matters. I think if you look throughout their history, that's sort of what shows. They always will have a good league campaign. You know, they'll probably end up finishing this season third or fourth, but if you ask Brentford fans, they won't be confident winning the playoffs again because you know I think they've had 9 separate individual playoff defeats, either in the final or the semi-final. So I don't think Brentford would have done much better. And actually, I think we probably have done better than Brentford would have, just simply for the fact that because we're Fulham compared to Brentford, for example, we would have the ability to attract better players. I don't think they wouldn't be able to sign the likes of Joachim Anderson, Areola. I don't think they would have had the same pool to bring these sort of players in, because you'll have players who have heard of Fulham and know us. So no, I don't think Brentford would have done better. I think they would have probably been where West Brom are probably. Yeah,
so let's get into your season so far. I can see you're currently right now obviously in 18th place. I'm trying to catch up with Newcastle. Surprisingly, West Brom have emerged from nowhere, but you're currently on 26 points. You've won 5 games, 11 draws. That has been quite a downfall. You've been having a lot of draws this season. 16 losses. You scored 24 goals and conceded 42, a goal difference of -18. And then the last 5 games, you've won 1 of the last 5 games. So from those 5 wins or the 11 draws, which has been your best result so far this season, personally?
It's a tough one. I think you've got to really look at the win away at Anfield as the biggest victory. But since then, we haven't built on that. You know, I think it's four consecutive defeats since then, or something like that. So we didn't at that point. Fulham fans were really starting to believe that this is possible now, but we just haven't built on that. I understand we played Man City in that run, but you know, away at Aston Villa, who haven't got the greatest home record, at home to Wolves, who haven't had the greatest season, if we're being perfectly honest. And I mean, the theme of our season is it's just been close calls. You know, Man City, since probably November time, Man City at home and Leicester at home, I'd argue, are the only games where we've just been outclassed and the better team has gone on to win the game. You know, Man City was the first time we've probably lost by more than 2 goals in a very long time. So it's been very close calls. Another issue for us is simply we just don't score enough goals, as you mentioned earlier. You know, only scored, was it 24 goals or something like that? Yeah. So that's the biggest problem. You know, our defence has become a lot more solid with the likes of Anderson, likes of Tosin, you know, Ken Tete, Anthony Robinson, Olorina, these sort of players. But going forward, the quality just hasn't been there. If you look at Newcastle's team, if we had Callum Wilson in our team, we probably would be about 15th, 14th by now, because he would be scoring goals for us up top, and obviously the defence would still be quite solid. So yeah, what is annoying about this season, obviously, is that although this is sort of how I expected it to go, when you do become more competitive, it then hurts more when you're that close away from potentially staying up, because at least with 2 seasons ago, we'd already been relegated by this point. I think we got relegated at the beginning of April 2 seasons ago. So, you know, a lot of Fulham fans, by about November, December time had sort of just accepted that our fate was already sealed. Whereas when you do get this close and you do look like, if we beat Wolves on Friday night and then Newcastle didn't beat Burnley, we would have been outside the relegation zone. So it is very close calls. But as I said, it is kind of where Fulham fans expected to be. But it is just so annoying that there's so many close calls. Last minute goal against Wolves. Capitulation against Aston Villa. So yeah, it's an annoying one. But yeah, it is how I expected the season to go.
Yeah, I remember the robbery against Tottenham as well, when you guys were disallowed a goal that was supposed to definitely stand. How about the worst results personally? Which defeat has hurt the most out of all the defeats or the draws? Which one has hurt the most?
Obviously, when it comes to performance, is the Arsenal game, the reverse fixture against you guys, and the game against Aston Villa at home. Because obviously we lost to you guys, and then obviously lost. I can't remember. Away from home, we lost somewhere, and then I think it was Wolves. Leeds. It was a close game, 4-3. And then obviously, but the game against Villa hurt. But the game that probably hurt the most was obviously everyone remembered Adam Lukman penalty miss against West Ham in the last minute. That probably hurt the most because we played well in that. We deserved to get something from the game. And then for Lukman just to sort of have that head loss and try a Panenka, which completely failed. That and it was. I also think the kickoff time played a big part of it. I always think, for me, I'd rather always our game be earlier on in the day as possible, or not be in the latter evening. This is the 8:00 Saturday PM UK kickoff time, and when it's like 10:00 on a Saturday, you've watched the other 3 or 4 games, and then you're devastated like that with a last minute loss. At least if you're early on in the day, you can sort of get over it. But then when it's 10 PM, you're sort of going to bed and the game's still sort of right in the forefront of your mind. So I think when it comes to most devastating, I would say probably the West Ham away game when Lukman missed that penalty in the last minute.
Yeah, that was bad. I remember that very well. And he's managed to up his game since though, so maybe he will be forgiven if you guys survive. Now let's get into your next 5 fixtures. You have obviously Arsenal next away from home, and then Chelsea away from home after that, and then you'll host Burnley, and then Southampton away from home, and then Manchester United away from home. So a possible 15 points. How many points are you hoping for from those games? Oh, let's remember the likes of Burnley just lost to Newcastle. Southampton have been in very, very terrible form. Arsenal and Chelsea might be focusing on the Europa League and Champions League by the time you face them. So which one will you be focused? How many points do you think you guys will pick up from the fixture?
So if I'm looking at the games here, I think 4 or 5. But I think if we want to stay up, we need to be getting 7 or 8 kind of thing. Because Newcastle 6 points ahead of us with 2 games in hand now, and obviously we play them on the final day, so we can just make sure we get that back to 3 points. Hopefully our goal difference isn't worse than theirs, or it's close, so then we could overtake them on goal difference on the day. Their game in hand is against Manchester City, so I'm hoping they don't do what we did against Leeds and they would get the victory there, which I imagine they would. But I think what's working in our hand here, looking at these fixtures here, is looking at them, and 4 or 5 of them are away from home. And we look so much better away from home than we do at home. The only teams we've beaten at home are Sheffield United and West Brom, the 2 teams below us. We haven't beaten anyone above us in the league at home, whereas away from home, we've won at Everton, we've won at Leicester, we've won at Liverpool. So we've shown we can do it to big teams. Like we've won the same amount of games in Liverpool than we have in London this season. It's that crazy. So I think these games being away from home will suit us. I think another thing that suits us here is you guys having such a big game on Thursday night. It's so critical to your season. If you lose to Slavia Prague, or you go out on away goals or whatever, that's your season done. And this season is ultimately going to be deemed a massive failure. Whereas if you go on to win Europa League season's been pretty poor, but it means you guys were in the Champions League next season. So, the amount of caliber of players you can bring in, the caliber as you can, who want to stay at the club, you can remind them the reason why they want to stay at Arsenal. So, but I do think these games being away from home helps. We saw West Brom give Chelsea a good rogering at Stafford Bridge the other week. So there's no reason why we can't do that. Although I can't see in any way us scoring 5 goals in a single game. But then you look at someone like Southampton. I understand obviously they're in the FA Cup semi-finals this weekend, but in regards to the league campaign, there's not really too much for them to play for away from home. And then I'm trying to look on the positive side for all these games here. Burnley, I think, is safe. It's just between us and Newcastle, in my opinion. And then Man United away from home. what a Man United playing for in that respect, if you know what I mean. I know their home record isn't amazing, but I think one thing that I did mention there that I think an important point is away from home we do look a better side because we can sort of rely on the counter attack with players like Lutman, Bobby Reed, play the ball into Mitrovic, Harrison Reed, Lamina Anguissa, these sort of players trying to break through the lines as such. I do think that playing away from home in 4 of these 5 games is actually going to be definitely a positive for us as opposed to a negative.
Okay, those are the next 5 fixtures for Fulham. Next topic is, who has been your best player so far this season in a Fulham shirt?
I think Joachim Andersen, centre back from we got on loan from Olympique Lyon. There's a reason clubs like Tottenham and Manchester United are linked with him. He's been sublime. He's probably arguably been the best centre back we've had since Brede Hangeland back in 2010 or when he joined in 2008 to when he left in 2013-14. He's been sensational, and that's going to be the devastating thing if we do go down this season. All these great loan players you've had like Anderson, Areola, Lookman, obviously won't be able to keep these guys next season, but I think it's got to be Anderson. He's made such a difference to that defence. When Tossin's not playing with him, he doesn't look the same player. Our defence is completely different if you look at the defence you played against on the opening day, that's probably why you scored 3 goals, because you're playing against a championship defence. Anderson moved to Lyon for, was it £26 million from Sampdoria last summer? So he's or summer before, I guess, so the summer of 2019. He's been great for us, and there's a reason he's linked with the likes of Tottenham, as I said, and linked with the likes of Manchester United. He's such a good, confident player on the ball. He's even a defender. I think I wouldn't be sorry if you guys were looking at as well, because he would suit the way you guys play. But yeah, Anderson for me by a fair stretch, I would say, has been our best player.
As you always see me asking you on Twitter about Mitrovic. So what has happened to Mitrovic? Because in the first game, I thought he was a certainty to start, but he actually didn't even start the first game against us. So what has happened this season? Is Maja better than him? Is Reed better than him? I
think if you look at the first part of the season, fitness was the issue there. When he played for us in the playoff final, he wasn't fit. You could see he didn't come on until the 90th minute essentially, and just played extra time and didn't really do much running around or anything. He just there to sort of hold the ball up. But then when it came to about November, October time, we switched to a 5 at the back, and the system we were playing maybe didn't suit Mitrovic the best. It was better with someone like Cavallero through the middle. And then it was working. So you don't broke. If it's broken, don't fix it. And it was getting us. We won away at Leicester, and we were getting some points. Obviously, beat West Brom. It was working. And then Mitrovic came into the side a couple of times, and I was calling for him to come into the team because I think he's our best striker by a long way. And they just weren't playing to his strengths. And if you got someone like Mitrovic in the team, that's something you need to be doing, is playing to the player's strengths. So, and that wasn't happening. And then he had the international break, which he did have last month in March, when he got 5 goals in 3 games to Serbia, and it showed you that Mitrovic has got the quality there. He's now Serbia and technically Yugoslavia's all-time top goal scorer now. So he came into the side, he scored against Aston Villa, and we thought, great, this is now going to be the time where he could fire us to safety kind of thing. But obviously he was just so isolated against Wolves, and that's the big. Mitrovic is a brilliant player. Mitrovic is a Premier League quality player. People who say he's not are just lying, because if you look 2 seasons ago when we were diabolical, he still scored 13 Premier League goals, which is a good return. I think that's more than Lacazette's probably got this season or something like that. So, he's the ability is there. And for me, I'm not sure. I think he could still stay with us even if we do go down. But I think Mitrovic is if we do stay up, what we need to do is make sure the side we're playing is built towards Mitrovic's strengths, which is players who've got a good ability to cross the ball into the box and get it to him. Players who can who are close to him to run off him, to give him options. Against Wolves, he just didn't have that. I know from the outside it might look weird, but with the Mitrovic. But again, he was playing at the beginning of the season and was poor, then you found a new system. And then then you start playing well. You're going to stick with that system. So I think that's what happened with Mitrovic. But I think we've seen in the international break, we saw his goal against Villa, that Mitrovic is a quality footballer. Going into the season, his goal record for us is probably 1 in 2. He was the top goal scorer in all 4 English divisions last season. I think we haven't necessarily got the best out of him this season, but I don't think any Fulham fans are sort of talking about lack of quality when it comes to him. I just think it's sort of just been one of those seasons. When players have those sort of seasons. You look at Aubameyang this season, he was arguably one of the best strikers in the league last year. This season, ever since he signed that new contract, can't really hit barn door with banjo. So, and he's had issues off the pitch as well. So I think players just have these sort of seasons sometimes. But we all know the quality's there. Obviously, Aubameyang on a different level to Mitrovic. But I think there's no Fulham fans who don't agree that Mitrovic is our best striker.
Okay, last couple of topics. Speaking of going up or staying up or going down, would you be happy to stay with Parker whichever happens, whether you go down or you stay up? Would you like to stay with Parker?
I think Parker will stay whatever happens. But it's the interesting is will other clubs try and get Parker in? Because there's teams who people have seen Parker and what he's done with this team, and he's got the best out of a poor situation with these players, and we've seen his managerial quality. If I'm looking at a team like Crystal Palace, for example, I think they'd be looking at someone like Scott Parker, because I don't think Roy Hodgson's going to renew his contract this summer. He's bordering on 70 now, so I think there is he is someone that team's going to look at. There was rumours this week that Spurs were looking at him as a potential replacement for Jose Mourinho. I think that's a step too far right now, but Fulham fans are all in agreement that we love Scott Parker, and what he's done as a manager for us has been great. Arguably, he's actually been better this. Although if we could potentially go down, he's arguably been better this season for us than he was in the Championship when we got promoted last season. But all Fulham fans are right behind Scott Parker. I think Fulham fans are going to be pointing the finger at anyone this season. They'll be pointing at our director of football, our recruitment team, and some of the players not performing. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, for example. He scored 1 goal and got 0 assists, and it was a deflected goal against Everton. I think Scott Parker's done pretty much the best he can, and all the Fulham fans are 100% behind him. That if he was our manager next season, we'd be confident of him and getting us out of the league.
Okay, so Don, it's Arsenal against Fulham this weekend. You've complained about having late kickoffs. This time it's going to be very early on Sunday. So what do you want to see different from how we played or how you played us guys in the first game of the season?
We could just concede not in the first 5 minutes. That'd be great. I mean, in the first few games of the season, it was like every half we were conceding in the first 5. It's like, what? Come on, sort this out. I think, as I said, one thing that I think will hopefully work in our favour is if you guys have a really, really intense game on Thursday night, which I think you will against Slavia Prague. They knocked out Leicester, they knocked out Glasgow Rangers. They're a good team. I remember watching the Rangers game, and Stanchu hit a wonderful free kick against them. And it will be a really tough game for you guys. And obviously, with them getting that late away goal at the Emirates the other week, it will be tough. It means they don't have to come at you as so much as if it was 1-0. So no, I think it will be a different game, and I think it's not do or die as such, but this is a kind of game. If you do stay up, you get at least a point in. At least a point. Yeah, I know it's Arsenal, and I know we probably have never won at Arsenal or something like that. Our record against you guys away from home is absolutely terrible. But it's do or die now, really, and we need to come in. I think we need to stamp our authority in this game. Try and stamp our authority in this game early on. Show you guys that the club's not dead and buried yet. We still do believe that we can stay up, and as I said, we just need to be within 3 points of Newcastle and have a similar goal difference going into the final day, and it gives us every chance, especially if there's fans in the ground as well. I know it may only be 5,000-6,000, but we saw what difference it made when we drew with Liverpool at home.
The next topic we're going to speak about is the starting lineup. Which kind of starting lineup would you go for?
So we went back to a back 5 against Wolves, and I don't think it worked. I think we need to play a 4-2-3-1 system. I think that's where we're going to get the best out of our players. So in goal, obviously Alphonse Areola, I think, is a sublime keeper. I think he's another player who could play for a top 6 team. I think he's that good of a goalkeeper. He's at PSG and Real Madrid the last couple of seasons. I don't know what he's doing at Fulham this season, but yes, I'd have him in there. Then at right back, I'd have Kenny Tete, and then centre-back partnership of Tosin and Anderson. Congola did play well last week, but I think he's more of a defender who looks good on the left of a back 5 as opposed to one of the 2 in a back 4. Then left back position, I have Ola Aina. I think, people, you look at Anthony Robinson, but I think Ola Aina has shown that he's probably been one of the most consistent players this season, probably more of the underrated ones who won't get speaking about, but I'd have him at left back. Then in the two central positions, I'd have Harrison Reed and Mario Lemina. Anguissa, I haven't been that impressed with him recently, and I think a player like him could come off the bench after 60, 70 minutes and make an impact on the game, but I don't think ever since he reportedly was one of the players who had COVID in the outbreak in December, I don't think he's been the same plays. Looks a bit gassed since then. So yeah, I'd have Lamina and Reed, and then the three behind Mitrovic. It's a tough one. Like I would probably say Loftus-Cheek, but he's been so poor recently. I don't think Parker will do this. I think Parker will play Loftus-Cheek in the 10 in a 4-2-3-1, but I wouldn't mind seeing sort of a more of a 4-4-2. And having Lookman on the left, Bobby Reed on the right, and then having Maja up top with Mitrovic, so he's got a strike partner to work off. Because for me, Loftus-Cheek has just been a disappointment from the start. He's a player that the media seem to like to talk about, but if you ask any Fulham fan, they would tell you how poor he's been for us this season. So for me, I would like to see a 4-4-2 kind of formation with Maja sort of a bit more off Mitrovic. But yeah, no, I think that would work well. But in regard to Scott Parker, I do think it will be a 4-2-3-1.
Okay, so prediction for the game.
I don't think we'll win the game, but I don't think we'll lose. I think there's too much on the line for us, and there's not really anything on the line for you guys apart from, trying to breed some confidence into the side. So, and especially as I mentioned with Europa League game on Thursday, I'm going to predict that it'll be a 1-1 draw. 1-1
draw. I can see goals here. We're not going to hammer you. You're going to score 3 goals, then you guys are going to get 2. So 3-2 win. I'd be happy with that, because if we beat you guys and I think Villa and Everton lose, there's a chance for top 7 around that. So I'll definitely take that. So thank you very much, Dom, for coming on.
No worries. My pleasure at all.
Awesome, man. So make sure you follow him. I'll leave his Twitter link in the description, and I'll leave the link to Fulhamish YouTube channel in the description as well. Thank you for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.